Hey guys, Tarke here, and today we have something interesting to review. So, we'll read what Dylan sent to me. Hi, I made a build in PoE. I'm new to making my own builds, and it's kind of harebrained. So my friend recommended your channel and thought I would see if you had any ideas about if it can be improved. Sorry in advance if I'm getting any of my math wrong or if the tree is super bad. I put everything you should need to know in notes in the path of building. Then he sent me the path of building. So if you go to the notes, there's a lot of numbers, there's maths, and annoyingly we've got to scroll across, but we're just gonna read for a bit. Okay. Hi, this build is a little weird, so here are some notes about how I made it and why. Okay. The gear is what I'm currently using, and so some of it could be improved. Path of building doesn't seem to be able to do damage calculations for Spellslinger, so I had to do some test cases by hand. Always a great start. Okay. Because of this, I did a lot of them wrong at first, which made the build look way better than it actually is. I like that. That's good. Okay. The current calcs I'm running make it look a little worse than a generic spell build, which is sad, but maybe there are ways to improve it. This build might be kind of bad, so feel free to make fun of it in a video. Also, if I'm missing anything that can make this build work a lot better, please let me know. I've never made a skill tree myself before, so things are probably pretty unoptimal. Okay. Here is a breakdown of the damage calcs that led me to this build. I'm awful at maths, so this could be completely wrong, and I probably won't notice unless it's very obviously wrong, just as a heads up. Let's assume my build gets around 500% increased spell damage total. Okay, fair enough. Assume I have access to generic spells that deal 1000 base damage. Okay. Also assume that all my support gems say supported spells deal 50% more damage. This seems to be about as good as supports are on average, but I may be wrong. Okay. If I 6-ink my spell, the damage should look like base, increase, support, 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 support. Okay. Fair, yes. So that's how he's getting to this number. Yeah, okay, this will make sense. These multipliers all make sense. Okay. He could just use the base of his actual spells, but fair enough. If instead I 3-link spells and 2 supports to spell support, I get... Okay. When this guy gets actually like good at PoE, he's gonna make really good builds. Because this is more work than I think I've ever put into anything I've ever done. Like, ever in life. But anyway. Originally, I was doing mores additively to each other, which made the second number way better, but then I did it correctly, and it came out like this. I also tried doing it with other spells / supports ratios, and this is the biggest one I could get. Okay. The fun thing is, this is the fun bit. The fun thing is, if I have 20 LE damage added to spells, we'll add to all 3 spells, we're going to get 3 times as much flat damage added. Shame is that in doing the Spellslinger setup, I reserve most of my mana. I mean, yeah, I guess if you're firing out multiple skills, flat added is technically 3 times more effective. Technically. Sure, okay. With the items equipped to this setup, I get about 250 average damage LE added to spells. Spellslinger also gives 100 added spell damage from my weapon. This makes my damage... Theoretically, sure, yeah. A regular 6-ink to be added would look like... Again, sure, why not? I'm trash at maths. Yeah, sure, yeah, okay, okay. I mean, there's enemy resistances and everything which will reduce this, but sure, why not? So it looks like I can just catch up a regular build using a 6-ink. Okay, yeah, why not? I wanted to use elemental damage cost jewels to get some of the better nodos, but unfortunately I wouldn't be able to scale the added damage from Spellslinger as well. Alright, okay. And also, some skills have, like, increased added damage, some have less. So, for example, like, Fire Trap's got 200% increased, and... I'm trying to think of a spell which has very low added. I think Arc has bad damage effectiveness. So, yeah, it depends on the damage effectiveness on the spell, but sure. So, with some spells, this would be even better. Yeah, Brands are, like, 40 or something. Stormbrand, that is. Okay. Because I'm using various elements and damage, I tried to use cluster tools to take a lot of my damage so I could avoid stuff like increased lightning. I mean, obviously Shroud of the Lightless seems decent, generic LE increase and stuff like that. Okay. Also, one second, I'm just going to clear my throat. Okay, back, sorry. Some more fun stuff. Because I'm using Power Scythe as my attack, I'm getting free Culling Strike and Power Charges. That is fun. The Power Charges help maintain crit, getting LE Overload. Yep, that's good. I also have a curse on hit factory damage. Sure, that makes sense. Rimburn, oh no. Gives all fizz converted... Okay, convert all the fizz from wave conviction glitch to cold. Okay, so he's doing fizz to cold stuff. Which takes better advantage of LE damage increase and reduction. Okay, that, without looking at his skill choice, that seems weak to me. Because the only two skills he has would be Wave of Conviction and Glacial Cascade. So I mean, if he's just using those two, he said he had 3. What would be his 3rd fizz to cold skill? But we'll see, I guess. Large scale straw setup is one I'm actually using, is probably not perfect. Medium smalls are what I'm looking for, but don't have yet, okay? The trick here, is if we take Spellslinger's 50% more mana reservation from the Eternal Lab Shot, in addition to the mana reservation reduction, surely we can slot on a 4th spell. Okay. We can also get cooldown reduction on our belt and boots to get more recovery, so it triggers more often. Okay. Due to tick rate, we don't pay for more cooldown recovery until 69%. Okay, cool. I used the other Eternal Lab Shot to get more cooldown reduction. Couldn't run a 4th due to mana reservation. Okay, so he wants to reduce mana reservation. As for my spell choice, I picked Arc. Wait, what? But the Arc has no synergy with the whole fizz to cold thing. But okay. I picked Wave of Conviction to get the debuff. Sure. Freezing Pulse has good base damage and the added damage sharing mods to get a little bit of quality of life coverage. Okay. Using First Snow, so they're now using up gem slots. I mean, jewel slots. Once my damage ramps up and I can clear trash with just Arc and Wave, I'll probably get rid of the First Snow and just use Freezing Pulse, getting bigger tanky stuff for now, like the coverage. Okay, so I would much rather pick skills which have generic synergies with one another. So if you wanted to go all, like, cold base, he could be, like, Frostbolt, Ice Nova, obvious great synergy, and then he could be, like, Freeze Pulse if it's generic cold damage. And then maybe you could use GC as just something else, or, like, Frost Bomb to be automated. I'm really curious how much, like, yeah, like, how laggy this is, having all these triggered skills. But immediately I'd want to, like, use, just, like, if you want to choose 3 spells, I'd be, like, Frostbolt, Freeze Pulse, Ice Nova. I'd also try and stick to, like, maybe only AoE skills or, like, only projectile skills. So, like, you're scaling either projectile damage or projectile speed or, like, AoE. Like, you want your skills to have more synergy rather than, like, Arc is good at clear and Freeze Pulse is good damage. But anyway. Also, by going all to one element, you don't have the weird, like, Ellie Pen issues that we talked about a second ago. But let's keep going. GC I picked because I had decent coverage compared to some other options, and I can't support anything with coverage support, so I have to take what I can get. It's fit into the range I want to play at pretty nice. Also, yeah, you want skills which will, like, have a roughly the same AoE, because if you have, like, one very long range spell, Ice Spear would have been another good one. And then your others are really short range, it's a bit awkward. I still have all the spells I'm using linked in DPS tests, which I use to estimate my DPS using the calc tool. You may want to double check my config, so I'm not used to those settings, but I've got for effective DPS calcing. Okay, my immediate reaction is I want to change your supports, like your skills. If you want to go full projectile base, I'd go like Freeze Pulse, Ice Spear, Frostbolt. And I think that'd be really fun. You'd use Frostbolt and Freeze Pulse for the coverage, Ice Spear purely for the single target. If you want to go more synergy based, you'd go like Frostbolt, Ice Nova, Ice Spear, or Frostbolt, Ice Nova, Freeze Pulse, and just use, or just Frostbolt, Ice Nova, just have 2. I don't like this like mix of things. If you wanted to go like physical conversion, you could go like EK, Bladeful, Wave of Conviction, Glacial Cascade. Any one of those. You could maybe shove Blade Blast in there as well. GC does overlap on bosses, because it can hit the boss multiple times. So I'm mostly going to be looking at changing his tree and maybe picking one element type. Okay, so what's he got? He's got 151% increased life, 3.5k life, and he's shoving all of these points in this cluster jewel. Okay. I want to improve the life by a lot. And he has this awkward thing. So he's playing Ellie Overload, which I agree with, because he's trying to cut down on points. So he can't root through the crit, and he's not going pure AoE base, so he can't really root through the AoE. He's not Mind of Madness. Instead, he's just rooting awkwardly through mana. And you don't really need to root through that much mana, because you're using your Power Siphon to trigger. So you could just go 1-2. Or 1-2 here instead, and then like cut all of this. I would probably completely skip Shadow. He's also using Golems. Oh, how are you fitting all these gems in? Like, Mathel played a very similar build to Leaguestar, and he had the issue that he's got to fit in all his Golem links, he's got to fit in all his Spellslinger links. You must be so starved on links. Yeah, we've got to cut this down. We've got to cut this down. This is too... Yeah. Yeah, and Golems die super easily. Okay. If you're going to go Elementalist, I would say just pick 2 skills. So, like, Frostbolt, Ice Nova, or, like, the whole Ice Spear thing we talked about. I would drop Shadow completely. And... Because, like, what are you realistically getting from this? You're getting some life. And you're getting a tiny bit of damage. Like, you're not getting that much, right? So let's say you picked just one element. So let's say you picked cold, right? You could root through the cold here. And then you could cut everything past there. You could just cut all of that. You could then come down, grab some life. And that's still sod all. Now it's 165, which isn't much. Shove that in. Now 185% life. That's looking kind of decent, right? Alright, let's try and fix up this tree a bit, because this tree is still looking pretty messy. I don't know why we're really scaling all this mana. What are you getting from one slinger? You're getting an increased reduction spell, which also applies to wand attacks. Well, that doesn't really matter. Sure, you get some increased damage while wielding a wand, but it's not worth the points. We're going to cut all of that. You don't need all that stuff. I'm going to cut all of that as well. Going for the golem stuff is fine. Because you're doing the golem stuff. So that's fine. You can't afford to run the heralds, which kind of screws you. Pendulum of Destruction is giving you sometimes some AoE, sometimes some LE damage, but you're not really scaling the AoE that much. I'd probably sooner go for Conflux and Beacon of Ruin, so you're always getting the shocks and the chills. But I guess if you're taking Paragon from Calamity, then you're getting, you know, you're getting some Reflect Immune and a little bit of Leech. I'd probably sooner go for Beacon of Ruin. Because you're reserving all the stuff, you can't run the Heralds, but if you were to cut down your spell stuff, you could have done that and done just like Herald of Ice if you went pure cold, or if you went pure fire. For fire options, you could do like Fireball, Magma Orb. Those would be the main 2 obvious ones for fire. Other than like Detonate Dead and Volatile Dead, but that's our like other archetype. Oh yeah. But yeah, I'd probably change this up and go for something kind of like that. Because again, this, like, you're not scaling AoE that much, so it's not helping you that much. So it's only like fire every half the time it's giving you damage. The other half the time it's giving you like Soddle. So let's say you cut that. So maybe you'd treat it like that, or maybe you could have done something kind of like that, and then just cut all of that, right? Yeah. And then obviously you go along the top. It's 2 points. It's less than 2 points. So let's say your tree looks a little bit more like that. Also, by running less spells, you need less reservation, which is nice. Things you could do if you wanted to be memey, which you very clearly are with this kind of setup. You could go for some generic minion scaling. The advantage of going for a tree which is more like this, is you've just got a bunch of, you haven't really got any real damage. You're getting basically all of your damage from the cluster setup, which I don't like. I really would say pick one element type and go all in on it. I would almost be tempted to not be Elementalist, but I don't want to like completely gut your build. But yeah, you could go for the minion stuff for some generic scaling, or at the very least, if you change the points round, so you come this way around instead of this way around, take that, and then get some just generic, like, pen. Like, at least that's just generic damage for you. You could maybe go for Sacrifice. Like, if you're going through this would be decent, because it would give you, like, your minions some sustain. Like, I honestly think going to Spiritual Aid might just be worth it, because it will make your golems feel less terrible, and it's still giving you damage, so it's still, like, efficient. And you could go for a large into... You could go for a large with 2 jewels, 2 mediums, 2 smalls. There are better small life ones than Natural Vigor. I actually just made a video talking about this. Some good small ones you could go for. So for life-based, Fettle gives you the most life. It gives you 10% and 20 flat. You can go for Enduring Composure for endurance charge generation. You can get... which one was the one that I liked from here? Prismatic Dance for all res. You could go for... No Witness for Elusive on Kill and Elusive Effects. And again, when it comes to costumes, you're always better off crafting them yourself. Just buy the base and then just craft it with alterations. So I would swap out this setup. But again, we cut so many points. By cutting all of this, you could now spend more points to go large, medium, medium, small, small. But at the very least, doing this tree swap is much cleaner. Maybe you want to keep your weird, like, spell setup. This is like, we've just taken generic damage. We haven't specialized you in any one way. I would focus in on one element. I really would recommend it. So you've just got everything. Yeah, no. I would less spells, more support gems. Power Siphon, faster attack skills and early weak. Fine, sure. Flame Golem, Stone Golem, Meat Shield, Chaos Golem. Flame Dash, faster. You don't really need the faster casting on the second wind. So much you can steal skin. That was like your testing thing. When you've got in boots, just Spellslinger, Control Structure, and ES Leech GC. What are you using gear-wise? Okay, so the ones are fair enough. This is the helmet you actually have. It's a solid helm. Infernal Mantle, like, again, like, your gear is just so all over the place. So this is giving you +1 to fire gems, but you're not using any fire skills, so that's wasted. You're getting fire damage, but you're not using fire skills, so that's wasted. The crit chance, you're not a crit build, so that's... Wait, I mean, like, sure, Wave of Conviction is fire, but, like, one of his 4 skills, it's not worth. The ES stuff, it's not really worth scaling. So, boom. And because you're always reserving all of your mana, this is just giving you 25% increased spell damage taken. So it's just making you really squishy. So, yeah, no, we're dropping that. That's a no-go. The Rimburn isn't worth it for the conversion. Like, big not worth. Because, again, it's only scaling half your sub and it has no life on it. Sure, it has some flat cold, but you can get incursion gloves with flat damage against chilled enemies. And you can chilled going through this conflock stuff. So that we're dropping, not worth. The boots, they have no life. You need life on your boots. Very important. You have to have life on your boots. Because you've got like no defense. You're just gonna fall over. Right? Your Ami doesn't have much life. Sure, it's got a little bit of leech, but who cares? And you actually previously already had leech anyway with Paragon of Calamity, so that's got to go. This ring is not giving you really anything special, so that's got to go. This ring, again, it's got a little bit of res, so I guess it's fine, but yeah, not really helping you out. The Flow Untethered you're using because it's got the cooldown recovery speed, which is fine. You can get cooldown recovery speed on other belts, and then you could get life, but fair enough. If you want to use it, fair, right? Me personally, it's just something I'd highly recommend. I would always put Staunching on your life flask. I wouldn't really run Overflowing Chalice. Overflowing Chalice is good on like some Pathfinder setups for like 100% uptime on bosses, but I would drop it. And I'm assuming you're not running White Flasks. Don't run White Flasks. You did say that you're a player though, so I'm just going to... I'll just do a flask setup that I would recommend. Just like... This is just a generic setup. So I personally would always shove Bleed and Revel on a Life Flask. You can do freeze on a Life Flask. I'd always want Bleed there. You need to add some defensive layers into the build. Vol Molten Shell is incredibly powerful right now. You don't need to be any particular armor type. I would go full armor stacking on as much gear as just life, as much armor as you can get. I'd then run a Granite Flask. You're getting your ailment stuff covered from your golems anyway, so you could just cut a bunch of links, run all of the golems, become immune to all the elemental stuff, and then you can afford to run stuff like a Granite of Iron skin, right? That'll give you a big chunk of armor, so that will make your Vol Molten Shell a lot stronger. If you don't know, the way that Molten Shell works is it gives you an absorb based on your armor, and Vol Molten Shell is just like a big cooldown version. You're also not using any Vol spells, so that's just a good way of improving your character. So I'd shove that in. You could then go for some DPS Flask, because you want just generic damage. Itzeries would be very solid because it gives you Chaos Res, lots of very scary Chaos damage at the time. You have some Fizz spells. Currently, you have a bunch of Ellie stuff. That's just a good way of getting a big chunk of damage. Would recommend. And then finally, you haven't got warding. You might have warding in your current build, but you definitely want warding somewhere. So you just want a Flask with high uptime. You don't have any way of blinding. Blind is a very strong generic form of defense. So and that's a very good uptime, so I'd say a Stibnite Flask of warding to remove curses. So that'd just be a very easy setup to go for that would make your character much tankier, just going for those right there. Would recommend. Again, I don't think this tree is perfect by any means. I'd much rather focus in on one element type. Go all in, getting some like VD or Den Dead, for example. I'd go for like Heart of Flame, or you'd be a Necros, you'd take Spiritual Aid, you know, you'd take stuff like Explosive Impact, but we're keeping it as generic as possible. So yeah. I'm gonna make, at the bottom here, I'm just gonna make some notes of some skill combos I would recommend. Just because I mentioned a lot and you might just lose it in the spam. So obvious ones would be detonate skills. Most people go for like detonate, dead, vault, or dead. So then you're like unearth, DD, cremation. Stuff that's obviously very strong. Going for obvious physical combos would be the blade skills. So you're looking at like Bladeful, Blade Blast, EK, stuff like that. For cold, the most obvious one is the Frostbolt Ice Nova combo. And then if you wanted to go more generic, you then have Freeze, Pulse, and Ice Spear. I would look more into these kind of things. If you didn't want to go for fizz combo skills, you could go for like Wave Conviction, Purifying Flame, stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. I think that considering how new you said you were to the game, you did an incredibly good job coming up with this conceptually. But this is something that I actually used to do a lot when I first started playing. Because you're new and you're just excited to make really cool builds, you're just fitting too much in. Because you just like, you go full big brain. You're like, oh, I have so many possibilities. And you like, you're looking up all the wikis and you're like working everything out. And you're just trying to fit way too much into your character. And you need to start stripping it back, right? You've got to like, okay, what is the core that I want to do, right? So you're like, you want to do a Spellslinger. It's like, okay, cool. So you need to think, what's the most efficient Spellslinger setup I can come up with? And just focus in that way. And then if you want to go for like the whole generic flat damage thing, think, okay, well, what are spells of the highest damage effectiveness? And then like find the top 3 that have kind of rough synergy, and then go that and do the whole multi-element thing. Otherwise, though, your character wasn't that ridiculous. I was expecting something a lot more like headache-inducing, to be honest. Yeah, I would add a proper guard skill setup up. I'm not a big fan of running steel skin on cast damage taken unless you're running like a max level cast damage taken steel skin. Otherwise, I'd much sooner run like a level 1 cast damage taken, level 3 immortal cool. But yeah, to be honest, I think you did pretty decent, dude. I think you did alright, but yeah. Hopefully, by stripping back some of your things, that will help a bit. I would recommend looking at something like PoE Ninja, seeing what other Spellslinger setups people are going for. Maybe looking at other content creators who've done stuff. I know that Mathel's made a character on it. I know Ziz has been playing a lot of it this league. But yeah, anyway. I'm Tarke. I'm just going to leave it kind of at that because without knowing exactly what you want to go for, I can't make a specific tree other than just going for something super generic. But yeah. I'm Tarke. Have a good day. Bye-bye.